Designers solve complex visual problems. I'm sure you use Figma, but AI is a bit confusing. And you've heard of maybe MCP? You're in luck because we have the preeminent expert on Figma MCP today at the Cozy AI Kitchen. Stay tuned. If you're a designer, you know how to use Figma, and you're desperate to connect MCP and VS Code, I imagine. You're in luck because we have Chef Joanna Oikawa here in the Cozy AI Kitchen. Chef Oikawa, come on stage. All right.
Hi.
So glad to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Gosh, we may have seen the VS Code regular updates videos where Joanna's a star in there. So tell me, Chef Oikawa, why is Figma MCP interesting today?
So our standard design process has often involved starting in Figma and then handing it over to engineering. But now what we can do is have more of a close iteration cycle with our engineers. We can bring things to life, test them out, try out interactions, share those live with other engineers, and that makes collaboration much more smooth and brings us closer together in the cycle.
And this word or acronym MCP keeps coming up. What is it?
It's basically a way that your LLMs that you work with, your models, can talk to other apps either on your laptop locally or even remote applications, websites, other things. So it kind of connects what you're talking to with your agent to other sources of information.
Well, can you introduce us to Figma MCP?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we're entering the age of personal software. And one of my favorite things to do is have a task dashboard for my personal note and task folder.
You made it yourself.
Yeah. And so I have all of my files saved locally, and these are all just notes about work, tasks that I write down, references that I make, etc. And so what I did is I had an agent create a nice little UI on top of all of those. So it uses my same note that is stored in the back end, but it presents it in a nicer way and it helps me stay organized. So I have my agenda, which is very simple today. And then it helps me organize my weekly and daily goals. And then I have a note section below, which also saves notes throughout the day to my markdown files.
This is your own notes system, to-do system.
Yeah.
No one else has it.
No, yeah. And I can personalize it. I can reorder things. I can make it look however I want, make it behave however I want. And that's one thing I wanted to demo today. So I've had this dashboard for a couple months and I really like it, but I'm looking for a refresh. I like to, change up my working environment and what things look like every once in a while. So I've gone into Figma and I've made just a very, very simple wireframe almost of what I want my next version of this dashboard to look like. So all I've done is added a few different elements, some rectangles, text, etc., that gives an idea of what information I want to be where. And I've even added some kind of redline-like notes.
Annotations.
Yes. Things that, I didn't want to draw out every pixel, but I did want to add a note so that the agent knows, okay, what goes where.
And this is just a Figma picture, not React components of some form.
Okay. Yeah, these are all just really simple. You can see on the side, these are just text and rectangles,
right?
Different colors, things like that.
Okay. No magical AI things in this Figma yet.
Not yet, but Figma definitely has a lot of AI features that can help you get to this point. Great. Is there anything that you think I should change about this design?
Let's see. Maybe today's top goal. Can you add an emoji with the today's top goal?
Yes, I think I can. Which emoji?
Fire. Fire would be good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oop. Today's top goal.
Okay.
Love it. Hopefully there's no fire in the Cozy Kitchen today.
Hopefully today it's okay. We have fire extinguishers here. All good.
Cool. Okay, so I have my notes and my existing folder structure in VS Code already, which is very simple. And then I have my Figma design.
Right. How do you put them together?
Great question. This is where MCPs come in, and Figma and VS Code have a really simple way to connect the two. So there are two main steps. From VS Code, I go to the extensions page where I can find lots of extensions in search. I can find MCPs using the keyword MCP, or I can just search for Figma and things like that. But this kind of lowers it down. And then I can find the Figma MCP server.
There it is.
So the Figma MCP server, I've found here. I've already installed it. And all it takes is click install. And then it opens the browser for you to log in with your Figma account.
VS Code extensions.
Yes.
Magic.
Very simple. And then, so I've connected VS Code to Figma. From the Figma side, all I have to do is turn on developer mode or dev mode. And then I'll see an MCP section on the right-hand side.
Right on the right.
Yeah. If you haven't used this before, there will be one step to, again, connect VS Code and Figma, but it's a one-click type setup. It's very simple. And then I can see my servers running. If it's not running, there will be a button to start it. And you can work both locally or you can work remotely. You have a Figma in, the web that's not open on your laptop. But this I find easier. Okay, so we have our connection from VS Code to Figma. How do we utilize that?
Wow, here we go.
Yeah. So all I need to do is select the frame or the frames that I want to reference.
The context?
The context. I need to define what within Figma I want my model to look at. And all I need to do is copy a link to this frame. But you can also see that there's an example prompt in the MCP section that includes that link.
Luxurious.
Yes. So I click copy example, and then I pop back into VS Code, and I start a new session, and I just paste that prompt. So I'm going to kick this off, and you'll notice that I'm using the default agent mode.
Got it.
And Opus 4.5. So this helps it move a lot faster.
It's a delicious model.
Yeah.
Click.
Yes, but you don't need Opus 4.5. You can use our free models as well.
It's okay. It's like truffles. Here we go.
Yes, yes. It's nice. I wanted to also, while this is cooking, show one other way that you can use the Figma connection.
Okay.
I have some notes on usability heuristics in my personal notes document.
Okay.
Right? And I want to share that with my team in a nice looking interactive way.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, create slides on usability heuristics and open in simple browser.
Well, this is happening in parallel.
Yes. So you can use multiple local sessions at the same time. If they're both touching the same code, one thing that you can do is swap to background. So that'll give your code an isolated environment so that they can both play nicely, and then you can pick how you merge those changes after.
Is background with the GitHub work trees thing, or does it separate them somehow?
It does use work trees to keep them separate, but you really don't have to understand how Git works and how merging and all that works to make this happen. So I have a couple. It's asking me for permission to run some things locally, which is good. You can also allow it automatically.
Human in the loop.
Yes. It's keeping me in the loop. It's telling me what it's going to do. And now I have a nice, in one shot, interactive slides for explaining something from my notes.
Oh, wow. So now you've got something cooking in one oven, and you cooked another one in the microwave oven and popped out.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so this is kind of the default slides that Opus 4.5 created. But you can imagine if your team has a branding guidelines or slide designs, you could point it back to that Figma and say, make my slides look like my team slides, my, nicely designed corporate slides. And they're a little bit more interactive. It has some motion. You can customize all of this. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back.
Wow, this is so cool how you can juggle with one hand over here. And a question. So you have these sort of Norman Nielsen heuristics. Can you ask the agent to use those in the redesign of?
Absolutely. There's a few different ways you can do that. First, what I like to do is have the agent do some research on its own first.
Got it.
So gather some context, build an understanding of what this thing is, either from my notes or pulling from the web, things like that, and create a understanding of this topic. Then there's a couple different ways you can integrate it into your workflow. One is through skills.md.
Skills.
Yeah. You can have it generate skills for you. And you can also have it look at your repo and look at what guidelines or best practices you want to implement and create custom skills that are for your repo, for your team and product guidelines, etc. And those can be pulled by the agent dynamically when needed.
So like if you're a designer that loves that sort of broader research approach, you can wire that in. If you're a designer that doesn't care for that approach, like sort of be on the spot impromptu, basically a designer kind of manages that process their way.
Right. And often our Figma design libraries include guidelines, best practices. It defines our design system.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that we as designers hold as knowledge ourselves that we have to, be in the loop with our engineers to make sure that they get correctly. So skills is a way that you can kind of codify your knowledge, your best practices to help your engineers move faster, not need to come and consult with you every time.
Philosophical question.
Yes.
Some creative people kind of want to hide their skills as my skills. I don't want to give them to the world. What do you do with that?
Well, I think if you're okay with being a bottleneck for your team.
Nice one.
That's fine. And I think with all AI tools and with the new lack of process in the design industry, consider all of these things as tools in your tool belt. Right. So maybe there are some instances where you want to make sure that you can sit at the table, consult, provide input. And there are some instances where it's not a good use of your time to remind your engineer for the 10th time of a certain standard or preference.
Well, I like how that's the open source way. Don't hold on to it, share it, build together, build in the open. Wait, something came out of the oven.
Okay. So we see our new
it's been redesigned.
dashboard we're done. Yes, it took everything I had, and as you'll notice, it inserted my agenda.
Right.
It has all of my tasks that are up to date. I can even, check and uncheck these, and it'll update in where I store them. And my notes works. Everything is functional.
Whoa.
Partly because functional with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Mostly functional. And so I have this initial, I had a very simple Figma. I've brought it into my VS Code. How do I iterate on it from here? Because oftentimes it's not perfect.
Okay.
So one thing it's done is open in a simple browser within VS Code. You can always open it in your regular browser if you want it to be bigger. But there's a button up here called Add Element to Chat, which lets me, very similar to DevTools, highlight on different areas. And so I can give the LLM a point of reference.
You can point to something, the context.
So let's find something we want to fix. So when I clicked Add Task, it opened up over here. So that's incorrect. So when I click on it, you'll see down here in my input box, it added a reference to the div specifically and a screenshot.
Right.
And so from here, I can say the input box should open on the left-hand side with Add Task.
I like how it also lets you delete the context. Maybe if you click something by accident, I can also remove it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes. So it's going to keep cooking, and I can pretty much rinse and repeat this whole process until I get things perfect. And as I use it every day, I also find things I want to fix.
I mean, you've noticed with this AI design revolution, there's this phrase, let's cook. What are you cooking? I think that's kind of funny. Yeah. It's sort of come this way.
Yeah.
You do feel like you're cooking. Okay.
Yeah. So I have, let's see. I'm just going to refresh it. Add task. There we go. It's closer. It should replace this, but it's at least on the left-hand side. So
wow. I actually haven't gone through the process of connecting this together, and now I can see why people are talking about it so much.
Yeah.
Figma MCP, VS Code, 3 great tastes together. By the way, Chef Oikawa is very modest, but she's a leading force in the design of VS Code and also a PM background, so you're the whole combo. There are people out there who are struggling, designers or PMs, seeing this revolution happening, and they're too busy to learn. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, my advice would be that you don't have to redo all of your process. You don't have to relearn everything. Just try and pick up little tools to add to your tool belt that can help with small efficiencies. And oftentimes finding little things you can improve will help snowball into larger ideas and innovation. So start small and think of all of the AI things that can feel very overwhelming as just options, suggestions, things you can pick up whenever it's helpful.
Very cozy AI. Thank you, Chef Oikawa. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and keep cooking.